downtown.
Oh,
Frankfurt.
okay, that's why.
Instead of training.
I was just going east of Backfield, or that's what,
Yeah,
And I-
He may not have to sign it.
What's this all
Well, the
about?
time
not-
we did not sign the deal, the realtor on yet.
You don't have to sign it, it's your property.
No, because you got a letter somewhere.
Some
you got a
people
letter,
don't want that. but-
And you had to check
where
off
people dropping them off.
if you were driving, so that we could.
Especially now.
So I had an A license. 4 years later, then they come up with a Z license. Anybody that had an A license was
They
automatically.
got Highway 11 and 522, they just built it a couple years ago.
No, you don't have an A license.
Oh, my God.
Start all over again.
Wow.
And getting more money than we.
The trouble is, if you sell them, you go to
Every time went forward and went through.
You know, further ahead.
Go broke.
I don't know.
Yeah. You know, let them build us from 2 by 4 or something.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
How could you build a house like that? Must be time.
Okay. So Chris has just pointed out, we're having video issues tonight, but we do have audio, so the audio will be going out and not the video, so. It is 6:30, Tuesday, April 6, 2021. Welcome everybody here tonight, first of all, and thank you. And is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest?
No.
Seeing none, we'll go to staff reports. And first one is the Guinness on mine, not that it's in any specific order. And has everybody seen Dan's staff report?
Somewhere, there it is.
Okay, if you just want to take a look at that, if you have any questions, Dan's here to answer them. I just want to say I've been to the Wolf Lake landfill and I did see all the new signage. Made a point to go to the right, and it was great. And I also saw you working on Stiller Side Road, so. And calcium is tomorrow?
Yep, first load's going on tomorrow.
Okay. So does anybody have any questions for Dan? If not, we'll move on to John Paul Negrinati. And just again, peruse, if you have any questions.
Bless you. So what happens if people for severance is at the 10 and people still want them, do they just go to next year?
More or less, like we'll have to keep a list and we'll have to take them as they come in.
Yeah.
And then
Well-
once we reach 10, then it's,
I would assume it would be really extreme, but if you have 10 in waiting for next year, that means they're being, and that number is regulated by the province?
no, our official plan.
Okay.
Are you thinking we may have to make an amendment to the official plan?
That was just gonna bring that up, and I brought the sheet to say that. Like the MMAH, I remember when we were going through when we were getting the board, they did have an exemption for approval for official plan amendments. So it just says, please find and include copy of OREG 33220, which amends OREG 52597 under the Planning Act to grant an exemption from MMAH approval for all amendments to your official plan. Except those may enter section 26 of the act. That's the 5 and 10 year update, so we have to always do that.
Right.
But if we did do official plan amendment, like it would be time and money. I could get a price from our planners to maybe, if you're thinking of looking at it.
Well, I'm just thinking, let's see how many we get. If they start to really pile up, then maybe we have to look at it. For now, I was curious who was in charge of it.
We would have to amend our
Okay.
official plan.
Do we have 10 now?
And
We have 10 in, okay.
potential for 10, just until they make a decision.
And we're only in May.
I know, so it's hard, but I've been telling applicants, because I don't know if the committee will pass all 10, you know, how do you know at this point?
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
The applications can be in, and there's still several steps
That's
that they
right.
have to take that could take months.
Exactly.
And some people may not want to go through with their application, so really it would be, once we have the committee approve those 10 lots, then we would be at the end.
Then we'd be at the 10, so you could still take more now,
You could,
and it's kind of like first come, first serve, okay.
And prepare them that in the event that we reach our 10, that we'll have them ready to go January for next year. And if like you say, if we're at 10, if we're approaching 10 for next year, then we can have an initial plan.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's just gonna be a bust the year, and then maybe next year it will slow down. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to over jump the gun too quick.
okay.
Any other questions for John Paul? And just reminded, and put it in there, the March severance is 2 weeks at the next council meeting, or at 6 o'clock, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Sorry, I did have one more question, John Paul.
Sure.
How long do you think that amendment would take to go through?
I'd probably ask the planners to get an idea, in
Okay,
a price,
all right.
just to see.
Are you feeling we should be looking into it?
Right now, like, we're at 10, and there's more people that want to do severances. So
That'd be a yes.
I'm
I
thinking,
think maybe we should investigate that.
Yeah.
okay, I think that's a good idea.
I just see by, I think everybody's in agreement, so
Yeah, good.
I think council will give you direction to investigate that with the planner and see,
Yes, we should get on it.
and see what we can get to.
I had a feeling, so I brought that along.
Okay.
Thank you,
Maybe
guys.
No, we won't get 10 passed at committee adjustment, but we should be prepared.
Yes, we should,
Exactly.
yeah.
We should, we don't want anybody to have to
No.
wait if they don't have to. Okay, fire department,
Sorry, nothing this week.
just training,
Training and webinars. I'm doing a course on public information officer. So it's been wrapping up a lot of time.
I would think so.
Trying to do a face-to-face training session online. Not the greatest.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that would be very difficult. Okay. Now, Chris, I know, has spent a lot of time in the last 2 weeks getting ready for our counselor selection next Tuesday.
So we have 10 candidates, and normally what happens is at the meeting, we draw lots for them to speak. But because we have a special procedure approved by the health unit, and we have 10 people coming, and they're going to be able to come in person one at a time, I would like to schedule them ahead of time so we don't have too many people showing up at the same time. They're able to wait, of course, for the results if that's what they choose to do outside. They won't be taking the oath of office until the next council meeting, but if they choose to stay for the next, like for the special meeting, then that's fine. So what I'd like to do is, I have all the names in a box here, and I'll have the mayor pull the names and we'll do an open session, so I can set the schedule and set that out.
And the other thing I will add, because this all has to be done in open session, that, sometimes I know you think I don't listen, but I try. So Councillor Marchant, you'll be asking the first question at the meeting, and Councillor Scott, and then Councillor Moore, and then myself. And if your questions are all really good, maybe I won't have any. But anyway, and then we will just go over it again if anybody has any other questions. And that'll be the order. And all the questions are at your discretion. And if you don't mind, we'll just pick 10 out right now. And
Will we ask, if we're allowed 2 questions, we will ask them both at the same time?
I think you'll just do one at a time.
Okay.
You don't want to record.
Right.
Yeah, and remember, the one thing that somebody pointed out to me is traditionally there's probably 2 people interviewing them. And so they might have 4 or 5 questions each.
Right.
So with 4 of us, 2 or 3 questions is all.
Yeah.
And I think if we all read their resumes or their attachments, it gives us a pretty good idea. And so anyway,
I believe there's only a couple that are missing for written submissions, and they can still submit right up until that day, and that may happen. So as I get them, I will send them on.
all right,
All right, our first speaker will be,
Calvin Edward Young. So that's definitely not an alphabetical order, is it?
number 2.
Will be Joseph Ryan Bell.
Number 3.
Is Sherry Roberts.
Number 4.
Is Christopher Wyatt Johnson.
Number 5.
Is Roland Sean DeGagne. Yeah, if you have longer arms.
Number 6.
Stephen J. Kirky. Somebody spelled Stephen wrong, but there's a J there.
Number 7.
Michael House.
Number 8.
Is Ian Ryan Roberts.
Number 10.
No,
9, sorry.
I get ahead.
Thank you.
Andrew Berry. And last but not least, Sean Hughes.
Okay, so they're allowed 5 minutes to speak, so we'll probably schedule them 10 minutes apart for arrival, and as they come in, of course, they have to screen, we may set something up further up the door. And Kristen and John Paul will also be here helping at the next meeting to do traffic control and bring, I'm sure we're gonna open and go nice and smooth.
Okay, any questions about that? Okay, well, we should be done staff reports, right?
I think I got,
Was there anything else?
well, we can speak about the museum. Yeah, I think that was pretty much all that I got for this.
Okay, well, we'll move on to committee reports. And we'll start with Councilor Moore.
Okay, had a Washington District Library Board meeting on April 26th. With the provincial lockdown, the library is offering curbside only, but they will allow 1 patron at a time to use a computer if it's work related, if they need it for work, and there's a 1 hour limit on it. I don't know, some of you may have read it in the Almega News about the story walk. So the library has come up with this idea. It's a wonderful idea, really. And Boston and Chisholm are on board, and I think the best place for us to do it would be with the museum. And what they do is they take a children's storybook, they take the pages out and they put them on different stands along trails. And so it's kind of interactive for the kids. They follow the trail and they read the story all along the way. And Marie has several children's books, so they'll switch it up through the summer. I'm not sure where we would put them. It was suggested the school, but I mean, that's their property. Yeah, and I'm thinking of liability. So unless somebody else has an idea, I'm going to leave it with the museum manager, because we don't really have walking trails or sidewalks or anything like that.
No.
So it'll be difficult for us, but we did something similar a few years ago at the museum on one of our anniversaries where we took pictures of all the heritage buildings and we put them where they were and what's on that property now. And we did it all through the community. People could drive out to look at them. So
It was over 125th
I
anniversary.
might have been, yes, I think that's what it was. So anyway, we'll see what's going to happen. What's that? Museum has applied for the Young Canada internship, and they were also approved. Did I say museum or library? It's library. applied for the Young Candidates Internship, and they've also been approved for 2 federal grants for the hiring of students at 100%. The health unit is allowing the kitchen at the library to be used right now, as long as it's work related. And the staff has almost completed the patron count for how we'll be billed next year, and it pretty much looks like we're gonna be about the same. And so that's it for the library. Now, the museum, I did call around to a couple of other museums, and the curators have been working through the whole COVID. Museums have been closed, but they have been working, and they've even got their students in there doing work. So I asked Chris to investigate that with the health unit, and she had a little bit of a mix up there with.
Well, the emergency management person from
Yes.
the health unit said that he didn't see a problem if the museum manager was working in the museum and it was closed to the public.
That's right.
And the student came in. But then when he flipped that to the health inspectors at the
Yes.
health unit, they said no, because the essential stay-at-home order is essential workers only.
Yes.
And that it may not, because it's a closed facility.
Right. So what one of the museum curators in one of our adjoining communities, their council approved. They said that they considered her staff, and they approved her going in there, because we have artifacts in that museum that have to be cared for over a year. So I think it's really important to get her in. I think we've heard from one student grant so far, the federal.
Yes, we have
Yes.
received that one.
Yeah, and so I also think if we get grants for both students, we should put them in. We have enough buildings there that they can all be in one, caring for at least the artifacts if we can't open. And I don't think we should be turning down another summer with turning the grants away for the students again.
I spoke to the federal government for the one that we got, and
Yeah.
I told them we wouldn't be turning it away. We just weren't sure if the start date would be
Right,
what
okay,
we had originally applied for,
good.
and they understood that because of the stay-at-home
All right.
order.
So what I'm asking council is that the council is okay with them working inside even during shutdown and taking all the COVID precautions.
So we'll look at that and make a,
I didn't put it on the agenda for
so we'll put it on
approval.
the next.
For next,
agenda.
yes, because
Okay.
Chris and I talked about maybe bringing her in after the next meeting.
Okay,
So
Yes, that would be, because then we're not too.
we're out of the lockdown, and we might be out of the lockdown by then, so.
But then for sure, it's just that the Ontario stay-at-home order.
Yes.
That was the concern.
Yeah.
Everything else, because they would be isolated
That's right.
and able to work, and plus I know that Will's been working and getting
Mhm.
everything we need to keep them safe and stuff.
And that's it for me.
okay, any questions for Councilor Ward? Okay, Councilor Martin?
Yes, I had nothing on the veterinary clinic, but Chris did put some in the correspondence. Nice letter from Pauline explaining a few things. We did have a source protection meeting, Zoom, and they have gone to closed sessions with the Zoom on it after we signed the confidential letter. They also have now set up a, I guess you'd call it a web page or whatever, that we can log in with a password and get all the information. And Sue and Rebecca, the staff there, will send out an email telling us when they've added any information, and we can log in and look at it, and it's in confidential stuff. It's in there. So it's a, I forget what they called it, the program, but it's what I went in, that's how we had our meeting, actually, was on this program too. You had your choice of going to Zoom or on this program, and I went to the program, and all the information was there, the staff reports and everything. So it worked out pretty good. So they actually had some surplus in the Conservation Authority, even though the cutbacks, because saved on mileage with the Zoom meetings.
Right.
And like they pay $20 a meeting for going on the Zoom, but they've saved a pile of meat because there's like 12 on the one board and 10 or so on the other. So when you start adding up people coming from Sunridge or Mattawa, the mileage added up, so I imagine they'll probably stay to a lot of the online meetings, and the Zoom worked fine.
Look at the money they saved, exactly.
Oh, yeah, and they've got everything set up now, so. So there was nothing real startling out of it. They're still worried about Calendar Bay and algae, and they're working on that. So it was a good meeting.
Good. Any questions? Okay,
I didn't have any meetings or anything.
no problem. And I must admit, I only had one. It was the day after our last council meeting. And from Eastham, the temporary wage enhancement for PSWs should have been paid at the end of April. Negotiations continue on salary for staff. Rapid antigen tests continue, but COVID containment funding should cover this expense. And they're doing 2 types of tests, just in both nostrils. That's the easy one, and then the other one they call the deep dive. And I had to go there today, and I just way outside, and so then the lady came out and said, "Don't be such a suck, get in here." And I didn't. I still waited outside and didn't get tested, so that way I'm safe. And I told you this at the last meeting, but we were officially notified of the government funding for the heating, air conditioning, and HVAC. And that was $5.3 million. They have 2 years to get the work done, and we have to pay up front, and then the government reimburses us. And the only thing, we don't have $2 million, so now it's to get a line of credit or do whatever to get it till we're reimbursed. And our complement of council members was completed. We have Lisa Morrison replacing Bruce Campbell from Birch Falls, but we're still awaiting a government appointee to reach our full complement, and that's been over a year that we've waited for that government appointee. Tomorrow and Thursday, you talked about different conferences. Their governing or their advising body is Advantage Ontario. And tomorrow and Thursday is the Advantage Ontario Forum, which of course is virtual, so they'll be able to partake of that. Then May 11th is another date. This is the Lawn Service Staff Awards, but of course, it will be only for people on site and tested that day, so not open to the public. And the next regular meeting is May 26th, and hopefully it can be in person, because the meeting we had on the 21st of April, sometimes we had 6 or 7 people on it, the next time it was 3, and not the same 3. We kept, one would lose, a person out of here would come off, then they would phone, and then they'd come back on, and it was a nightmare. So anytime anybody says we need better broadband, we most certainly do. So any questions on Eastham? Otherwise, we will move on with the regular agenda. And the first resolution is to adopt the minutes of the meeting held April 20th. So mover and the seconder, please. Thank you. I'll get Councillor Moore and Councillor Martin. So it's number R 2021-090. Moved by Councillor Moore, seconded by Councillor Martin, that the minutes of the meeting held April 20th, 2021 be adopted as published. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. And next one, and I think everybody got the material on the cameras. And this is for the office area. They can't be right in the office because there's too much private, personal, and confidential material in there to be taped. But in the area, there are 1, 2, 3, I think three different quotes, 4 quotes. And the suggestion is that we take the lowest quote, which was $389, I believe.
$389.99 plus taxes.
Right.
And then there's also going to be the monitors, the cables, the connectors, and the installation, which would probably be about another $400.
This is where the $850 comes from.
That's the total.
That's a high end, because we don't know how much the cables are gonna be, and sometimes we end up being more. But the installation is done in-house, so we don't bring anybody in to do it.
So we should be able to do the installation, which is the savings, and these are the very excellent cameras, but the lowest quote that we have.
Do they record anything, like sound, or I mean, audio? I see one quote has, third one down has a microphone. I just wondered about confidentiality, but I guess if you're outside, it wouldn't matter.
We need outside video or audio, do
They'd be turned off.
we? Yeah, I don't think we would need audio.
I mean, I was just curious, because the thing,
Yeah.
you know, in some ways it'd be nice to hear what somebody said outside if they're yelling, but then other times it might not be.
I'm sure if they're yelling that loud, we can record on our phone or something.
Yeah.
But usually it's not bad.
I hope they're not yelling that loud,
No.
but anyway, they very, let's hope not. And we're just looking at the future and avoiding any problems that we may have, so. Pardon? Oh, I'm sorry, James, yeah.
Okay, now, maybe I misunderstood, but, so we're not looking at any other building, we're only gonna do the one building.
Right now, I think that was the general
So-
consensus.
That, because I've seen it on, everybody knows now, because the last
Oh, I
few
know.
minutes, it's out there, that you got no security systems, you got a lot of valuable equipment in different buildings, sitting out everywhere, and you've broadcasted already that we don't have any security. You're missing the boat. And I think if you got everything done like was originally priced, you're probably saving our insurance in the long run, and we could have something for the next 10 years. I think we're missing the boat here on some of this, and it's not sitting well with me that the way it all come out, and now that I can see it on they've got it on the computer everywhere saying you're not protected. And I think
We discussed it in an open meeting, that's why it's out there.
that's
Yeah.
why it's out there,
Yeah.
and the wrong people who are gonna know that.
So,
Well, it'd be the people that tuned into YouTube.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, I read it on one of the local thing, because there's a Magna News or
Yeah,
Day to Day,
Magna
it was on Day to Day,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's not good.
are we satisfied with, and I know you're not, James.
Yeah.
But are we satisfied with taking this first step now and seeing how they work? Or do we want to reevaluate this, or do we want to just start with the office and go on from there? And I know there's always cost savings if you buy the entire package. And I'm sure you're right with insurance, but, what's the thought here? Do we start here and wait? What does the rest of council think?
I would say that I'd like to see the system
Yeah. so what
going first. I understand what James is saying, the public knowledge, but same time,
Yeah.
they don't know what all we're going to install now, because it was just deferred. It wasn't say we weren't doing it.
Right.
And our other communities, are they all cambered up like this?
Blossom is,
East Ferris just went everywhere, every building,
Every building, right?
and if we could put it at the landfill, it would be there too, but we don't have hydro. Because we've had, I don't know, the other municipalities lost equipment and lost stuff out of from the arena parked outside.
Well, I think we should start with the office, that's what I would go for. and
Yeah, if it works
how I
out, then
feel,
look
see
at
how it
the,
works there, and,
the
how we-
garage and museum and stuff.
what the actual end of the price does cost us. And then look at, like, if we do decide to go ahead with this.
with more,
With-
because we are on audio tonight, so
Yes.
what we'll say is, we'll do an initial
Yes.
purchase
Yeah.
of surveillance equipment,
Mhm.
and we can expand this at a later date if we feel the need.
Yes,
Or if this equipment is excellent, we can expand it to any place that we may miss
Mhm.
in our discussions tonight. And James, I appreciate your comments, and they are noted. And, Tom?
One, it has to be tied into a computer or something to save it
No, it has a memory within the system.
within its own. So, but that's inside or, yeah, so it's wired into or wireless in.
It's wired into the office, I believe.
and you
And
said that
any
could be
other,
access.
and any
access to
other
our
buildings
phones,
we
right?
may choose to put it in.
And
Yeah.
it can go to the iPhone then.
Yes,
If it's
We can have it
coming
go
from
to a-
somewhere with Wi-Fi.
another device long as there's Wi-Fi. For the
So-
buildings without Wi-Fi, we'd have to, make up another plan for that.
Yeah,
So
so
once
if we
it's-
put it in at the waste disposal, then we have to wait till somebody goes there and looks at it.
It would be for reviewing matter if we needed to, yes.
Yeah,
For an
because,
immediate
so it wouldn't be
need,
broadcasting to anybody when we say, hey, somebody's there.
No, if we were to review it for a specific incident.
Now, the one at the garage, could it be tied into the office?
Hopefully, yeah.
Well, I think,
Because I just wonder what the range is there.
well, I think we could, if there's 4 cameras, we could probably point one over at the
Yeah.
garage
That's the plan.
from the office, so we don't
Yeah.
even need to do the garage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's good, Ed. If you aim one at the, towards the fuel tanks or whatever.
We'll keep getting as many as we can, and we'll do the best coverage that we can at this time.
We will be using the COVID funding for this particular purchase.
Yeah.
And so this is a start of, I know, start of something big.
Yes,
Okay, so,
Can I ask one question?
yes,
If, James brought up, and I think you mentioned it to me earlier, Tom, about now everybody knows whether we have cameras or not.
we will after
When
tonight.
and if we decide to go ahead with this, can we do it in private session? Because of security.
We could. It would depend strictly on what we're gonna be discussing.
Yes, okay.
we might not be able to award the tender or
You
hold
can't
them.
award the tender in closed, no, you can't make any decisions in closed, but we can certainly discuss.
The place-
Yeah,
the placement of them.
okay, all right, very good.
Okay, so a mover and a seconder for this initial equipment, Councilor Marchand. And thank you, Councilor Scott. So it's R 2021-091, moved by Councilor Marchand, seconded by Councilor Scott. Do we authorize the purchase of health and safety equipment for the cost of
Approximately $850.
Okay. This expense will be processed under the COVID Safe Restart funding. All in favor? Carried. That was just the back page. So number 6. And we discussed we're calling it youth recreation program, bottle collection program to be operated at each landfill site within the township. And I think everybody got the information on that. Does anybody have any questions about it?
Who's transferring it from the landfill to the stores?
I believe the
Fire department.
fire department has
Okay.
offered to do that.
And is there a spot at the landfill to
There
store?
will be.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
And it's all been discussed with the landfill staff and we're ready to go.
And with both store locations that will receive the, so everything has been discussed.
So they're all on board if we are, so,
So only the staff will be actually working with the bottles.
Yeah.
Only the staff will be working with the bottles, no
Yeah.
volunteers or anything.
any questions?
Good idea.
Mover and seconder, please. Councilor Marchant and Councilor Scott. Thank you. So it's number R 2021-092, moved by Councilor Marchant, seconded by Councilor Scott, that we approve a youth recreation program bottle collection to be operated at each landfill site within the township. All in favor? Carried. Okay, number 7, donation. You read the letter last week in correspondence. Magwin Highlands has asked for a donation for their graduation awards program. It's been our routine that we give $100 to any group so soliciting, so that's what we're looking at doing at this time. Any questions? I'll move her into second then. Councilor Smith, Councilor Moore. There, see, I'm slipping back into the old ways. And Councilor Scott. So it's number R 2021-093, moved by Councilor Moore, seconded by Councilor Scott, that we approve a $100 donation for the Magwin Highlands Secondary School Graduation Awards Program. All in favor? Carried. Thank you on behalf of Magwin Highlands. Number 8. This is, if you remember, there was a driveway across the township road allowance on the South River, and the information is included in here.
I sent a copy of the resolution in your council package with some notes on the bottom,
Right.
and read that explain, this is simply the property that we had originally given this permission to has changed hands. So they've met our other requirements and they're waiting for our agreement to get their insurance.
So with this, and so a mover and a seconder to permit this. Councilor Marchant, thank you. And Councilor Moore. This is R 2021-094, moved by Councilor Marchant, seconded by Councilor Moore, that we authorize the mayor and interim CAO clerk treasurer to sign agreement with Brett Brown and Christina Clark to permit the establishment and maintenance of a driveway across the township road allowance to provide access for residential purposes. All in favor? Carried. Okay, we get to number 9. It's a request regarding moving a municipal turnaround from S. Chalmers. I think that was in your packages, and he has submitted a proposal. The road department's comments were there, the fire department's comments, and the office comments. Does anybody have a question for any of those departments regarding this proposal?
Well, it looked pretty clear that neither department is agreeing to it, right?
Correct.
We all went out and
Yeah.
looked at it and spoke to Mr. Chalmers.
That's correct, John Paul?
Yeah.
I see you were saying about this potential hazard land areas plus the demolition of a rock that would be within the area where it shouldn't be taken out or replaced or removed.
Yeah, it's quite a big one.
Yeah, bedrock.
Yeah.
Blasting.
I think it would have really serious implications for the entire area and the other buildings in the area.
Is there a reason that he wants this?
I believe there was a concern about the public access off of the ramp that is on our shore road lounge. It's not a maintained boat launch, it's not a maintained ramp. It's been there since the road existed.
Right.
The public do use it because it is public access.
Right.
And I believe that he has a concern about that. However, it is located on township road lounge that was not stopped up, closed or sold.
None of it's on his.
No, it's
property.
Well, it sounds like it's a benefit to our fire department and our roads to keep it as it is, so,
Yeah, there's no real benefit to us.
no.
What's the benefit to him?
I believe the privacy benefit would
Mhm.
But it's been there, I was told it's been there for like 50 years or something.
at least, and there's a significant cost to bringing everything back up to a standard that we could use for a turnaround, and it's awfully close to the water. And I have serious concerns, and when I spoke to the
Okay.
applicant, he stated
Expensive
he
and-
may pay some or most of the costs, but I explained that as it's not a benefit to the township in any way, he would be responsible for all costs.
We might end up with an environmental assessment if we get
I think you're right, Tom.
Yeah,
playing around in there, if it's spawning beds.
Spawn beds
plus-
by a river,
We have no confirmed percentage of what was offered.
no.
So it could be anywhere from 0 to 0.
yeah,
I don't think there's any, personally, I don't think there's any benefit
no.
for us.
In that case, I will read the motion. I need a mover and a seconder,
I'll be brief.
okay? Councillor Marchant. And seconded by Councillor Scott. This is number R 2021-095. Moved by Councillor Marchant, seconded by Councillor Scott, that we approve in principle the proposal submitted by Scott Chalmers to relocate municipal turnaround at the end of Sandy Bay Road in exchange for the donation of property. All in favor? Seeing none. Against? This has been defeated. Yeah. Okay, moving along.
We changed the procedure on that one,
Okay, yeah,
and it was publicly advertised as per our advertising requirements.
so this is, so if COVID continues and we do have to continue, or if we continue to go by electronic participation, that we are allowed to move, so changing our procedural bylaw, that we could move to a closed session meeting in electronic meeting. And so the information's there, we've advertised it, so now we just need a mover and seconder. Councillor Moore. And Councillor March. So it's number R 2021-096. It's moved by Councillor Moore, seconded by Councillor Marchant, that we pass bylaw number 2021-22, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 2020-47, cited as a procedural bylaw to allow electronic participation in a closed session meeting. Read this first, second, and third time and pass this 4th day of May 2021. All in favor? Opposed? I recorded that Councillor Scott.
Question on that?
Yes,
If it does come about, then we would be asked to join a separate Zoom meeting. So,
No, it would be the same Zoom meeting, we just go off of live stream to YouTube.
oh, okay. And then, the staff that
They would be asked to go off of Zoom.
asked, yeah. Okay, I didn't know if we had to sign into a separate Zoom
No,
or
we would
something,
maintain
which we
the
no
same.
problem, but. Okay, thank you.
I would hope we could in the same meeting, I can't guarantee anything, sometimes electronics do whatever they want, but we can make sure it works.
yes, and again, we apologize for no visual tonight.
It was working earlier, and
On
it
the audio.
appears that Windows did an update when we stepped away from the computer, and now it doesn't want to talk to the program in place for the video, so. I have no idea what happened.
So apologies.
I'm thinking there's probably an update for Zoom now that we have to download to match the update from the.
Exactly, there's gotta be another plugin, because we've learned an awful lot about computers up there, and we couldn't find it, so.
I even got it cleaned up. Anyway, we go to number 11, closed session. We need a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Scott, thank you, and Councillor Moore. Number R 2021-097, moved by Councillor Scott, seconded by Councillor Moore, that this part of our meeting will be closed to the public as authorized by section 2392 of the Municipal Act 2001 C25 for consideration of the following subject matter: B, personal matters about an unidentifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. The time by me is 7:19. All in favor? Carried. Are we off there? Okay, we'll move out of the closed session back to open public meeting. It's number R 2021-098, moved by Councillor Moore, seconded by Councillor Marchant, that we resume to an open public meeting at 7:59 PM. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Correspondence, I think everybody saw it. The first one, Tom, I don't understand that. Do you think, should we support that,
Well, it's,
the application of carbon tax on primary agriculture producers?
no, because right now farmers are paying the same carbon tax for their grain dryers and heating buildings as you would for your home or that's, it's on their propane bill. And like a grain dryer, they go through hundreds of liters in a few days drying corn. And, but at the same time, most farmers are doing carbon offsets because a lot of them do have fence rows and wetland bush and stuff. So it adds up when you start paying, that much on hundreds of liters of natural gas or propane.
Do you suggest that we support this application?
I would
Resolution.
suggest it.
Bring a resolution of
We'll
support.
bring it, we'll bring it up to the next meeting then.
At the end of the year,
Because-
regular food.
Yes.
It's really hurting someone because some places don't have natural gas, they got trucking propane,
Right,
and that's very expensive for.
okay, so we made that note.
If there wasn't a carbon offset, I would say no, but most farmers have a carbon offset.
The second one, if you read it, it's just reorganization of the Ministry of Transportation. The third one, email from Suzanne Ellen Bogan. She was unfortunately a day late in submitting her application and thought that we didn't do our job at advertising, but it was on our website. It was in the Omaga News, and those are the requirements for filling any position on council. So we did everything by the rules. So she said that she'll be in touch with me, and I will be in touch with her. So, number 4, Mr. ESAB is requesting input in the strategic planning process. I don't know how to go about that, but they will give us more direction when it comes to it. And then Mrs. Carmichael just gave us an update letter from the Vet Services Committee, and we've already, I just signed the check today, so the check is in the mail,
Almost in the mail.
almost.
Well, she'll be happy.
So any questions on correspondence?
Still haven't heard anything about that one municipality, so I bet they want to pay or not.
Right,
I never received any word back either from their clerk who said that he didn't answer.
So that's between them.
Yeah.
What we paid, that's good. The only problem now is to get vets to travel. Well, even though they get their mileage, pay you up to 70 kilometers, but there's very few heavy animal veterinarians in the area.
okay, so mover and seconder to accept the correspondence. Thank you, James, and Councilor Martin. So, number 2011099, moved by Councilor Scott, seconded by Councilor Martin, that we accept the correspondence as presented. All in favor? Carried. And next we have number 13, statement of accounts paid. And I think we all got the abbreviated version.
That's good.
And I thank Chris for that, getting that out. A mover and a second, please. Okay, Councilor Moore and Councilor Scott. And the special one, this is number R 2021-100. Moved by Councilor Moore, seconded by Councilor Scott, that the statement of accounts dated April 22nd, 28th, and 30th, 2021, totaling $151,845.87 be approved. All in favor? Carried. And the confirming bylaw, a mover and a seconder, please. Councilor Scott and Councilor Marchant, thank you. Number 2021-010, moved by Councilor Scott, seconded by Councilor Marchant, that we pass bylaw number 2021-23, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting held on May 4th, 2021, read the first, second, and third time, and passed this 4th day of May 2021. All in favor? Carried. And last but not least, number 2021-102, a mover and a seconder. Please, Councillor Moore, and, okay, Councillor Scott enthusiastically. Number R 2021-102, moved by Councillor Moore, seconded by Councillor Scott, that the meeting be adjourned at 8:03 p.m. Next regular meeting to be held May 18th, 2021. All in favor? Carried. Lest we forget, the special meeting next Tuesday night.